guys, and welcome back to part 2 of the nitty gritty of selling. I'm David Seymour, and we've got Nicki Spence with us. We're talking about insurances. So today's session based on the type of insurances and percentages of and that sort of thing. Nicki, life insurance is one thing. I get bowled over by the bus and die, lump sum gets paid out. But what happens if I get bowled over by the bus and don't die, but I'm going to be off work for a while? What can you do for me there?
Okay, so there's a lot of different things that will kick in depending on the severity, and I think it's really important to just recognise that different events and different outcomes need different types of cover and different amounts of money coming in. So say the bus, it kind of catches you on the side and
wings
you. Absolutely, like the ducks in the pond. So let's say it's really badly broken leg, maybe a hip, and that's going to put you out of work for 6 months. So in that case, your what's called a disability income is probably the most relevant there. So that encompasses things like income protection, mortgage repayment, and in one particular company's case, household expenses cover.
Right.
So they're all designed to pay out on a monthly basis until you're well enough to go back to work. And any of the insurers that I deal with will always have a partial disability. So because virtually no one goes from completely off work to back at work full time. It's always a graduated thing.
The other thing is that will be available to keep premiums affordable, for the lack of a better word, is time excess.
Absolutely, your wait period, and that's something that when I'm talking to someone, I always am thinking about, yes, them right now, but also how are we going to manage these costs later on in life. So choosing a different wait period, so it means that from the time the event happens, there's a certain amount of time that you select in advance before the insurance will pay out. There's one company in New Zealand that will start from a 2-week wait period. You can go 4 weeks, 8 weeks is what I most commonly will recommend, budget friendly. Also usable though. You can go 13 weeks and much longer. Not often that's really a good idea though.
Right.
It's very specific circumstances.
So let's look at the other side of disability insurances, and hence why I'm sitting in a wheelchair, is sickness. I'm trucking along at 50 something years old, next minute, boom, I've got a terminal illness. Tell me about the percentages of claims that are terminal illness versus accident.
In terms of just comparing illness to accident, what you're looking at is 85% of claims in New Zealand will come from cancer, stroke or heart attack. The other 15% will involve accidents and everything else. So I come across people who have a very strong idea that if they're not vulnerable to an accident because they work in an office, well, they're going to be fine because that's the impression that they have is the accidents are the biggest risk. It's really not. It's hugely weighted towards illness.
So guys, you need to take it in consideration. No one wishes anybody to get sick, but a huge amount of the claims coming in for disability claims and insurance claims are people like myself, fit and healthy, supposedly 1 minute, next minute terminally ill. It's more common than what you realise, eh?
It is. Yep. I've had a huge number of not in my professional life, in my personal life, I've had a huge number of friends affected by all sorts of illnesses.
Well, that's it, isn't it? If you look outside the square and go, hey, we're not talking insurance, let's just talk about our friends, our families. How many people do you know that have had serious cancers and heart attacks and strokes? And some of these people aren't that old.
No.
Some of them are in their 30s or 40s.
Yep. I had a builder friend at 32 had a stroke. That's it, game over. You can't do anything when half of your body doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. So let's now look at life insurance. We touched on it in the previous session. Life insurance, it's not just for dad, or it's not just for the income worker, is it?
No,
in the partnership.
Not. No. What you've got to look at when you're thinking about any type of insurance is what's the flow-on effects physically So, if you've got dad and he's the main income earner and he passes away, that's a fairly easy thing to quantify. Okay, how much was he earning? How much are all the debts? How much do we give for a buffer zone to let everyone actually go through the grieving process as well? That is super important to have.
Well, that's true, isn't it? Because then if dad falls off the perch, mum needs to take 2-3 months off work maybe. So who's going to pay her while she's not off work?
Exactly.
So that's all important stuff for people to think about. And so from your point of view as a professional insurance advisor, you can help solve those problems, so to speak. So how hard do you find it selling a promise over selling something tangible? When I'm selling real estate or transportable homes, I'm selling something people can come and touch and feel and walk around. Insurance is about selling a promise.
It is, yeah. And that promise comes with a lot of skepticism from people in general, historically with some fairly good reasons. So the insurers that I deal with, I know, because I've got relationships with their claims department, that they are not going to try and dodge claims. Because they know that a lot of their business, and in fact one of them, all of their business comes from advisors like me. If we get a whiff that they're trying to dodge claims, we will go everywhere else apart from them. But it's also really important that when people are filling out their applications initially, that they take the time to do that properly, that they're not rushing through it because they've got to get down to the sports field in 5 minutes.
It's one of those things we talked about earlier, wasn't it, about the honesty on both parties. Is the honesty factor is an integral part of an insurance contract, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And all the claims that I've had have been straightforward, have been what we expected, because quite frankly, I became a bit of a pain in the backside when they were doing the applications. It's like, okay, so I know that you've just said that you can't think of anything else, but let's think about, when you were 6, did you have a cast on for any reason? Or, and people look at me and then sometimes they think, oh no, is that going to mean that my leg's not going to be covered? No, it doesn't mean that at all.
Just want to know
it
the
will
full
still
story.
be covered, but we just need to take a good amount of time and be really thorough and realise that I'm Switzerland. I'm in the middle of the insurer and the client. And it's my job to make sure that I'm helping that client at application time to remember everything they possibly can. And there are ways, because humans forget, and that's absolutely accepted. It's not a problem. There are ways, and very fair ways, of dealing with that. But I've also got to have that responsibility to the insurer to make sure that the clients are doing their absolute best. And it's my responsibility to make sure that insurer is held accountable if they start making noises.
Sure. Hey, look, I've got to say, the insurance company that I'm insured with, boom, as I said to you off camera, 3 days after providing the relevant information, I was paid my trauma claim. And as soon as my disability kicked in, I had a 3-month or 13-week stand down because I could survive comfortably for 13 weeks on my disability insurance. Wasn't an issue. But hey, so guys, if you haven't got insurance, or even if you have got insurance in place but need to go through and maybe review it, maybe it's been a couple of years or 5 years, in some people's cases never done a review. Nicki, how far and wide do you travel?
I work electronically a lot of the time, so I can, if someone is living on New Zealand soil, I can help them.
That's it. Anywhere in New Zealand, guys. If you're in Aussie, you'll need to fly to New Zealand. We'll sort these out. But Nicki's available. And here's her card again, and I'll post it on the end of the video so you can see it. And if you haven't had a deep and meaningful discussion about where your insurances are, I suggest that you get in touch with Nicki or your current insurance broker and actually have a good conversation and make sure that it's up to date. Anything else you want to finish with, Nicki?
You don't want me to go on for the next 3 hours. So.
No.
Just that, I don't do pushy, I don't do rabid. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I don't expect to have everybody go, yep, that's cool, let's do that. Because it's purely and simply, sometimes I can't help people.
Yeah, true.
But it's about me helping people feel empowered that if they've made a decision,
right
that
decision.
they've made the right one for them.
Alrighty.
And that's what makes me happy.
That's cool. All right, Nicki, thanks very much for your time.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Hope you get lots of phone calls.